to Charm Chats.
Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra
And Kat.
Today we're covering episode 506, The Eyes Have It.
Yes. This aired on October 20th, 2002.
What?
So this title is based on the expression, the ayes have it, A-Y-E-S, which means basically the yes votes win, and it's usually used in Parliament. So this one is the ayes have it, E-Y-E-S.
Yes.
Because
stuff.
and things.
And we're gonna start off right up top. Small content warning.
Basically just due to the theme of this episode.
Yeah, it's kind of racially insensitive.
Just
not
skosh.
I say kinda. It's pretty.
Yeah.
So basically, this is all the whole trope of, like, quote-unquote gypsy magic sort of thing. And, in case you didn't know, that's a racial slur.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying it so you know what the word is. And we're gonna end up using it a lot in this episode.
Yes, but we will try very hard.
Because they use it and just boilerplate switching it out for a more accurate, realistic term
would actually be worse in this case.
Because this is all fictional.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to act like all of the tropes that they're using here really translate over to the Roma people. Because they do not. So we're also basically just going to be using it in reference to whenever the characters themselves use it. Mm-hmm. And in case you were wondering, the term itself comes from Roma and other nomadic peoples being mistaken for being from Egypt, which they are not. They are from the Punjab region originally, and then, nomadic stuff happened.
So it basically, the word gypsy has become a derogatory term for the Romani people, which are not to be confused with Romanian people.
Nope.
Which I'm just going to put that out there before we start this one, because they're speaking Romanian in this episode.
Yeah. I was wondering what that was. I did not stop to look it up.
Yeah, honestly, it's Romanian.
If we didn't have to watch this episode for this, I would have skipped it.
Yeah, so would I. Well, that's not true. I would have watched it and then at the end been like, I should have skipped that. But, I didn't remember this episode, so...
Neither did I. And then 2 minutes in, I was like, oh, right, I gotta actually watch this.
Yep.
But anyway,
The stereotype is usually vaguely played on Russian, Polish, Ukrainian, Romanian, that sort of thing. However, the Romani are actually Indo-Aryan.
Yeah.
So, as the name would suggest, they actually come from places like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, like that area.
Yeah, the Punjab region, which is in India, which is why you might hear the term Punjabi.
Right. But they are a nomadic people.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a lot of, this stereotype kind of stuff of, fortune telling and stuff like that, because it's part of their religion.
Yeah, and there's a lot of crafts people in there. And they were, I think, the second most persecuted group during the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Jewish people, Roma, and then gay people.
Yep.
That I'm pretty sure that's the order, but something like 3 million people from both the Roma and Sinti family groupings were put into concentration camps and gassed.
Yeah. It's not fun. It's not good, and it's
no, and
it's not something we take lightly.
And if you ever hear anyone use the term gypped, pounce on them.
Yeah, because that is a derogatory from this derogatory. That basically means you're trying to steal them out of something. The other one that you might hear is if somebody Jewed them down.
I was about to mention that because I thought my aunt, when we were doing a big garage sale, I thought my aunt was going to use the first one, and she went for the second one, which is it's not something I'd ever heard someone use in conversation. And I was just like, hey, Karen, that's fucking racist.
Yeah.
And yes, her name actually is Karen. So
there you go. But yeah, there are a lot of derogatory things.
Yeah.
That brought up many memories that are not good memories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and most of the translations for the term gypsy into other languages are also derogatory. Yeah. Like, the German one literally comes from a Greek root meaning untouchable.
Yep.
Which is super happy.
Yeah. So, again, we're going to be using the word a lot, unfortunately.
In the context of the show.
Yeah, only in the context of when they say it.
And if that's something that really bothers you, like, we don't mind, go ahead, skip this one. Like, we'd rather you feel comfortable than have to sit through us saying this a lot.
Yeah. And remember, if you're here for the tangents and you want to hear the tangents, anything we tangent on will be on the website.
True.
So you can at least see what we were talking about, what random nonsense we came up with during this episode, because there's going to be some fun tangents in this one. But yeah, so
we just thank you, Blue. We just wanted to be clear up top about that.
Yeah. So let us start, because we're going to get right on into it, and it's going to be an interesting time. So we start on the sign of what appears to be a fortune-telling shop.
Phoebe walks down the street that kind of looks like an alley, passes on a payphone.
Which only stood out to me that this guy was on payphone, because the payphone itself was like bright freaking red, and he was in denim on denim.
Double denim!
And I laughed so hard.
Double denim.
Because I was like, oh yes, 2002, era of the double denim.
Which year was it that Brittany and
Justin went covered in denim? I don't remember, but like it was definitely early.
He was wearing a 3-piece denim suit, and she was wearing a denim dress made out of jeans.
Yeah. Can I just say, though,
I mean, it was a look.
It was a look, and I didn't mind the dress.
No, the dress was fine.
Had he been in just normal clothing and not been in a 3-piece denim suit, her dress wouldn't have stood out as much.
Yeah, but, like, the whole point was that they were only wearing denim. Yes. Like, I look back on that kind of fondly now, because I'm like, this was a whole-ass choice.
Oh, yes.
And I appreciate someone who can make a choice. Like, if there were a Met Gala thing where that would have been an appropriate interpretation of the theme, I would say, go for it.
Oh,
like, what was the last one? Camp? If someone showed up in a fucking tent, I would have been the happiest.
Oh, yeah.
But alas, that was only a joke people made on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that one dude who likes photoshopping himself into celebrities' photos.
Yep. Anyway. So, Phoebe is in a flowy spaghetti strap white dress that is softly striped with a barely there pink, and has a red ribbon threaded throughout the top that ties in a little bow at the middle. She's paired that with heeled black lace-up boots, and I enjoyed those boots probably more than I should have. She has a dusty pink messenger bag draped cross-body and is holding a denim jacket. Her hair is down and straight, but it's covered by a red knit cap with some of her little bangs like peeking out.
Yeah, was it knit or was it crochet? Because it was a pretty open weave.
I don't know. I never remember the difference very much when I'm taking my notes, because, going as quick as I can. Type. She's also wearing a necklace that seems to be some sort of Asian charm on a black string with some red beads.
So Phoebe walks into the fortune-telling shop, sees a woman putting out the candles on the counter, and this lady is in a lovely silky red top, purple skirt, it's got some sparkle on it, gold jewelry, and a red headscarf. And
it is a very much a stereotype outfit.
Yes. Stereotype, like fortune-telling, mysterious, like Eastern European lady.
But it's like, it's one of those where it works on her, though. It looks nice.
She works
She pulls it off.
Oh, yeah. So Phoebe asks if this one is closing, and she turns around and replies, not anymore. And she's got a vaguely Eastern European accent.
Yeah. She introduces herself as Madame Teresa. This actress is Lorna Raver. She was born October 9th, 1943 in Pennsylvania. She's got 53 acting credits between 1990 and 2014, and one of those was Professor Anderson in Season 2, Episode 9 of Gilmore Girls, called Runaway Little Boy, which aired just about a year before this episode of Charmed. And, fun fact, 11 out of her 53 roles were of Judge.
Nice.
All different shows and whatever, but they were all just named some sort of judge. And I thought that was interesting.
Phoebe introduces herself, but Madame Teresa already knows who she is. And Phoebe's like, oh, because you can read my mind? And Madame Teresa's like, no, I read your column.
Phoebe laughs a little bit, and Madame Teresa says, oh, you're not a believer. You're not sure if you're a believer. And Phoebe's like, no, I assure you, I am absolutely a believer.
Believe me.
I had nowhere else to turn. So Madame Teresa motions to a table and tells her to sit so that she can read her hands. And they sit at a small little round table.
Yes, it has a crystal ball on it.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, y'all, always cover your crystal balls when you're not home.
Yes.
Because if the sunlight hits them, you can start a fire.
Yes. That is just facts.
Yeah. So didn't someone have a crystal doorknob that was spherical?
Yeah.
Ooh, bad.
Yeah, bad choices.
Yep.
Phoebe jokes that her hands are just going to tell Madame Teresa that she needs a manicure, and we have a small continuity error where we can see that there's already some lines drawn on her hand that aren't supposed to be there yet. She holds her hand out, Madame Teresa looks at her palm, and then her eyes widen, saying that Phoebe has the gift of foresight. And Phoebe gets a little scared and starts to pull her hand back, but she's like, don't worry, your secrets are safe here. And then she gets the pen out and starts drawing the lines.
It was a marker.
Yeah, it was a thicker pen.
Yeah, it was it was basically a marker.
Yeah.
It's just she's tracing the folds of Phoebe's palm.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's drawing on each one, she's telling Phoebe what they mean for her. So she says that she's creative, sensitive, street smart, has a strong family, close ties. And then she's like, hey, why don't you talk to them? And Phoebe's like, I don't want to worry them. Because, the trouble is with her gift, and she's there to try and figure out what is wrong with it.
Madame Teresa then says that some of the lines on her hand show that she is overworked, and we learn that Phoebe is not only doing her column, but she's also doing personal appearances and giving advice on a radio show.
Oh my god. She's Frasier.
Sure.
Madame Teresa says that Phoebe's schedule is blocking out the other parts of herself, including her gift. And Phoebe's like, well, how do I find the balance? So Madame Teresa tells her to unblock the energy. They join hands, and Madame Teresa asks her to breathe in with her, and they close their eyes.
So Phoebe closes her eyes, and they start to breathe, and then she kind of opens one eye, which I thought was just the funniest moment. Mm-hmm. She's just like, okay, I'm here. What's really happening?
Yeah, and then Lorna, as Madame Teresa, starts doing this fun thing where she just shakes her hands.
Yep.
Not really her body or anything, just her hands and her arms.
Yeah.
And after a moment, the shaking stops, she opens her eyes, they let go of their hands, and Phoebe realizes that Madame Teresa has just had a premonition.
Of course, Madame Teresa's like, yeah, I don't get those. And Phoebe's like, well,
I do.
Guess what? I do. I think you intercepted it. So Madame Teresa immediately stands up, saying the reading is over, and ushers Phoebe out the door. Phoebe, of course, tries to protest, but Madame Teresa apologizes, pushes her outside, shuts the door, and closes the blinds. And Phoebe just kind of stands there confused.
Yep.
With that look on her face like, what just happened? And then we get a small time jump.
We see a woman wearing an outfit I can only describe as bohemian chic.
Yeah. It was...
Because it's like an embroidered peasant blouse.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's got a lace crochet kind of salmon-colored scarf, as a headband and coming off to one side. And you can see, up on her head, there's, those little fake coins up top. And her hair is just, wild and curly.
Yeah, lovely curly.
And she's wearing a big-ass, kind of a cross, but there's also a weird sort of...
eyeball.
Viscera on it.
Yeah.
Looking thing.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So we see this woman. She's talking on a phone with Madame Teresa, who's in her shop packing up her clothes into a suitcase. And we're going to cut back and forth between them during the scene, where we will also learn that the woman outside is named Lydia. So let me tell you about her very quickly. The actress is Shireen Mitchell. She was born August 6, 1958 in Manhattan, New York. She's got 32 acting credits between 1989 and 2018, but she did take a break from acting between 2004 and 2018. And her longest running gig was back in 1995, where she was on the only season of a show called Hudson Street, which was about police in Hoboken, New Jersey, and starred Tony Danza and Lori Loughlin. And I just want to sit with that information for a moment.
Hold me closer, Tony Danza.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Madame Teresa tells Lydia that Oren, the gypsy hunter, is coming for her.
Now, I thought that the first time I had heard the name Oren was when Catherine and Hank Green named their son that, but apparently not.
Well, wasn't it Catherine's grandfather's name?
I mean,
or her father's name?
I'm not sure, but I just know that it means pale green.
Okay.
Which is very funny that Hank and Catherine Green named their son.
No, that's
Oren.
That's fun.
I mean, it's very Hank.
Yes.
If you think about it, but yeah.
Well, at least they didn't name it a color that means red.
I mean, true.
That kid would poop on everything.
Yeah. No, don't name
some deep cut Vlogbrothers jokes here.
Yeah, don't name your kids after your pets. Okay. Now Lydia, who has no real accent, she very much does not have.
Well, she has an American accent.
Yeah,
like a standard Midwestern sort of flat.
Yeah, the everyman accent,
the broadcast accent.
Yeah. Lydia tells Teresa that it's impossible that Oren is after her because they blinded him decades ago, and only gypsy magic can lift his curse.
Teresa says that the girl she was dukkering for has the gift of foresight.
Now, that is basically slang for fortune-telling, but other than just linking to a list of Romani words that I found, I can't find anything else about that one. It's literally, that was the only place that I found that word.
Huh.
It is an actual Romani word for fortune-telling.
Interesting.
So there you go.
Anyway, Teresa tells Lydia that she received the vision, and Lydia's like, where are you? I'll come to you. But Teresa tells her, no, skip fucking town.
Yeah.
Oren could be after you next. He's hunting Shuvanis.
Yes, which is basically what I thought was this version, like, name for this gypsy tribe, but apparently it's not, and we'll find that out later.
Yeah, it's a more specific term.
Yeah, it's more of a
for people within the tribe.
Yeah, it's more of a title, than a tribe name. We then see a man in a purple button-down shirt tucked into gray pants under a long gray coat appearing behind Teresa, and I immediately recognized him. So even though we don't have a name for him yet, and we won't find out for quite a while, I'm going to tell you about this actor. This is Channon Rowe. He was born October 27th, 1969 in Pasadena, California. He has 79 acting credits between 1994 and 2015, and I immediately recognized him as Cash from the 1996 show Kindred the Embraced. I love that show so much, and I'm still sad about it. Moment of silence for Kindred the Embraced. Anyway.
He asks if she was expecting him. Madame Teresa spins around and drops the phone into her suitcase as Lydia keeps calling out her name.
Teresa asks if he's Oren, and he basically denies by saying, my father will be very pleased that you've heard of me. Or heard of him.
Kind of a Draco Malfoy phrase.
Yeah, it was a little bit. She asks him what he wants, and he says that he wants his father's revenge. Oh yeah, and your eyes. And he holds out his hands, and two beams of red light flow out of them and into Madame Teresa's eyes.
And I love the effect of this because they're flowing out of his palms, but it looks like they're collecting from his fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had one of those electricity balls.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like the Death Star, where it, like
yes, where all of the beams converge
to one
in the array and then shoot out in a single direction. Yes, that's exactly what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So she screams, but doesn't otherwise move in any way, shape, or form, and we go to the opening credits because, of course, we do.
Yeah, there's no Cole or Daryl, but both are mentioned.
Yes.
In the kitchen of the manor, Leo is there reading the back of The Joys of Home Birthing VHS tape.
Now, I'm not going to tangent on that other than to inform that the phrase home birth became common usage somewhere in the mid-19th century once hospital births became more commonplace. Now, I did find a quote with no context at all from an article in the New York Herald from December 1846 that states, "It is a disgrace to our public that they have now turned out en masse to the patronage of such talent of home birth."
Which, coming from someone in 1846, doesn't hold as much weight.
No.
Granted, even now, like, the kinds of germs you'll find in a hospital are far more dangerous than anything you'll find at home, generally. Yeah. And, doulaing is becoming more popular. I know a few doulas, actually. Mm-hmm. I even know a death doula. Mm-hmm. Which is just someone who, helps the family and the
dying
through the process. Just like, this is a normal thing.
Yeah. I actually had a D&D character who was a grave cleric. And they it sounds so stupid. If you don't know anything about D&D, this is just gibberish. But they were a cleric of the Changebringer.
Okay.
And the Changebringer is most definitely not like a death deity at all.
No.
They are basically a god of a journey.
Yeah.
But
that's like the death card in a tarot deck. It's about change. It's not about death.
Right, but that's exactly what it was my grave cleric was basically, yes, I will help you on your journey to death. It's like, I will help you get through this. My grave cleric was basically a death doula.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was a cool concept, and I was like, I want a weird deity that makes no real sense except in the context of this particular character.
But yeah, midwifery and... midwifery. It smells interesting. You get a midwifery.
I think I might mention that later, too.
And all of that are becoming more popular, although lately there's been some worrying, at least in the U.S., there's been some worrying legislature that's making it very difficult for people who were born at home to actually have birth certificates, because you have to go to a hospital to get a birth certificate.
Yeah.
Like, they're done automatically at the hospital, but, like, if you are born at home, either because you didn't make it to the fucking hospital, which is a thing that happens,
yep,
or because you chose not to go to a hospital, well, you now have an additional hoop to jump through to make sure that your kid can do fucking anything in life.
Yep. And, if you ever want to, like, live off the grid, don't do it. Just don't try and have kids off the grid, because it will just ruin their lives in the long run.
Yeah, because they're not going to stay off of the grid 100% of the time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a tangent for another day.
Unless you're going to establish your own little tiny sovereign nation. Like Homer Simpson.
Yes, but then that might go into, like, cult status, and there's just a whole...
Wait, was that a Simpsons episode, or was that a Family Guy episode?
I don't know. I don't watch Family Guy
or
The Simpsons
remember.
Anymore. So.
There was an episode where
I've never watched Family Guy,
that their house was, like, not on any of the municipal maps, just their property. They're like, oh, clearly, we're a sovereign nation, then, of one house.
Interesting.
And then shenanigans. Anyway, let's get back to the show, shall we?
Yeah. Leo is wearing a gray t-shirt. We don't see the rest of his outfit yet. Piper and Paige walk in, holding dark purple yoga mats. Paige is in a pink Adidas tracksuit.
Like hot pink.
With a white t-shirt, and her hair is a bit curly and pulled back by 2 clips. Now, I'm not going to tangent on tracksuits, because it's not very interesting, but I will link to them on the website. I will, however...
I have a very quick tangent about the color hot pink, though.
Okay, we'll let you do your hot pink
Which
tangent.
is really more of a fun fact. It just... I learned this earlier this week, that the color hot pink originated in the 1940s.
Well, alrighty then.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Nice. I am going to tangent on Adidas.
Of course you are.
Buckle in, because this is one of my favorite things that I've ever researched. No.
It's a tracksuit.
No, buckle in. Because
lace up. It's lace up. There we go. That's perfect.
Yes, but this is going to be a long ride, you see.
Yes,
trying to make a car
it's a tracksuit.
I was trying to make a car joke.
I know, but wouldn't it be more appropriate because it's a tracksuit to have lace up your shoes?
Sure.
Okay, let's just continue.
Anyway, so this is going to be a slightly longer tangent. I will try to talk fast. Adidas is a German company that was started as the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory by Adolf Dassler. He went by the nickname Addy, along with his brother Rudolf in 1924. They apparently started in their mother's basement. Mm-hmm. They helped develop spiked running shoes for athletic events, but instead of using the heavy metal spikes that had been circulating around, Dassler utilized canvas and rubber. So in 1936, Addy convinced a U.S. sprinter named Jesse Owens to use his handmade spikes in the Summer Olympics that took place in Berlin. I'm not going to tangent on that because that's an entire story of its own. Totally going to link it though because craziness. Anyway, Owens won 4 gold medals that year and was the most successful athlete there. He was actually credited as, quote, single-handedly crushing Hitler's myth of Aryan supremacy, unquote. Yeah. But he wasn't invited to the White House to shake hands with the president because he was a black man from Alabama. Mm-hmm. But due to Jesse Owens' amazing wins, the reputation of Dazzler shoes became known around the world, and they had sold 200,000 pairs a year until World War II hit. Both brothers were part of the Nazi Party because Germany. But Rudolph was
not because Germany.
Well, no. What I mean is because they were in Germany, they were German, and therefore it was much more. It was inevitable that if anyone was going to become a Nazi, it'd probably be them, versus the non-Germans.
Yeah, just but saying. Not all Germans were part of the Nazi Party.
I'm not saying they were. I'm just saying it was more prevalent than the other ones around. Other countries weren't going to become Nazis necessarily. That's all I'm saying, because they happen to be German. Whatever. Anyway, Rudolph was the more devoted of the two to the Nazi regime. But so the factory was used for the production of anti-tank weapons during World War II and was almost destroyed in 1945 by U.S. forces. However, Addy's wife was able to convince the U.S. troops that the company just really wanted to make sports shoes. Like, they didn't really want to be making anti-tank weapons, but they were kind of being forced to. So this led to the American troops becoming major buyers of Dazzler shoes. It's like, fine, you just want to make sports shoes? Make sports shoes. We'll buy them.
Yeah, we'll use them.
Right. So in 1947, the brothers had a falling out, apparently due to a misunderstanding that was never cleared up, and they split the company in 1948. So Adolf created Adidas, naming it after himself with the nickname Addy and the DAS from Dazzler. So Adidas, right? The 3-stripe logo actually became a thing in 1952 after the Summer Olympics then, when he bought the logo's trademark from a Finnish company named Karhu Sports for the small price of 1,600 euros and 2 bottles of whiskey.
Yeah.
And then Rudolph created his own shoe company to rival his brother, which he named Ruda, after himself, the RU from Rudolph and the DA from Dazzler. That name was later changed to something much more familiar these days, Puma. Now, I promise I'm almost done, but I can't not tell you this last thing. In 1960, during the Summer Olympics in Rome, Puma paid a German sprinter named Armin Harry to wear Puma shoes during his 100-meter sprint final. He had previously worn Adidas and had asked Addy to pay him for wearing them, but Adidas basically was like, no, not going to do that. So he wore Pumas for the race, winning gold with a time of 10.2 seconds, and he was the first non-American to win gold since 1928. I think just in that particular race, but still. Then, during the medal ceremony, he went back to wearing Adidas. He basically shocked both of the Dazzler brothers, and he admitted that he was hoping that they would both pay him, which constituted Adidas banning him from ever wearing their shoes again.
Oh, Dazzler.
I love it so much. So, I'm done. I promise not to tangent for at least another 2 sentences.
She means that literally.
Yep.
Piper is in black jogger pants and a dark gray tank top with the words Gold's Gym on it under a white zip-up hoodie. Her hair is, of course, pulled back into a ponytail. She's got that little diamond necklace on again. And now, Kat's going to tell you about Gold's Gym.
Yes. It is a very famous place. It was originally opened by Joe Gold in Venice Beach, California in 1965. It now actually has its headquarters in Dallas, Texas, and has over 180 worldwide locations. In 1977, the movie Pumping Iron was filmed at the Venice Beach location. That movie starred Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno. And by 1979, Gold's Gym had become the most famous gym in the world. Now, Lou Ferrigno became famous due to the movie Pumping Iron, but he is now most widely known for being the Hulk from the original 1978 The Incredible Hulk TV show. He has actually been the voice of every incarnation of the Hulk since that time, until 2017's Thor Ragnarok when Mark Ruffalo took over.
So he was even the Hulk during the first Avengers movies?
Yep.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So the one thing that a lot of people don't always know about Lou Ferrigno, he actually lost 80% of his hearing after suffering a series of ear infections as a baby, but he wasn't actually diagnosed as deaf until he was 3. He was bullied a lot, which is partly why he started weight training at the age of 13, which he did by making his own weights using a broomstick and some buckets filled with cement.
Yep.
As you do.
Lo-fi.
Lo-fi stuff. I love it. Anyway, back to the show.
Paige heads for the fridge to get some water bottles, saying that Piper should look for a new yoga instructor, but Piper was apparently more annoyed by the ladies in the class showing off their sonogram pictures, and she starts mocking them.
Yeah.
Leo asks if prenatal yoga wasn't supposed to help her relax, but Piper's like, how am I supposed to relax when I can't go to the doctor like a normal person?
Leo says that they agreed that it was too risky with a magical pregnancy, especially with a baby that heals itself.
Piper's like, the baby isn't healing my nauseousness. Every other woman in that class says it's supposed to go away after the first trimester. And Leo decides to mansplain her. He's like, but this book that I'm reading says every pregnancy is different. And Piper's like, yeah, what book is that? And he picks up the book for the video he was watching earlier, which is The Joys of Home Birthing. And Piper's face.
Yeah, her eyes.
A journey.
Her eyes get really wide. I love my favorite phrase for when someone's eyes get real wide is I say that they get big anime eyes. Because they just get so big. You're just like, oh, this is going to either end poorly or hilariously. And there's no real in between there.
Yeah. Leo tries to explain that this also comes with the video. And he's like, we can watch it together. It might make you feel better about, what's to come. So Piper grabs the VHS from him, super unimpressed. Yep. And Paige is like, cool, I'll make popcorn.
Leo asks when prenatal yoga and home birthing videos became her idea of a good time. And she comments that it happened when she became a friendless loser with no life.
Piper tries to say, no, you've got lots of friends. And Paige is like, yeah, but they're all employed.
Yeah. She says that she can't tell anyone that she fights demons, so she just looks like, quote, a big, dumb, fat, unemployed loser. Piper, of course, says that she's, quote, a big, fat, unemployed loser who saves the world, and I am annoyed that any of them are saying Paige is fat.
Yeah.
Because no.
Yeah. Phoebe walks in wearing some tight gray pinstripe pants, very low slung on them hips.
Yep.
And a extremely thin sleeveless white shirt.
It is so thin that we can see a white bra underneath. It's very lacy.
We can
and very
see
pretty.
The pattern of the lace, in fact.
Yeah. Her hair is down and straight, and she's wearing a choker necklace that has some small red beads and large silver squares. It's an interesting necklace.
She heads for the coffee, saying she hopes it's leaded. Call back to Prue.
Yeah, call back to episode 108 in particular. Episode 108 was when we learned that Piper never makes leaded coffee because Prue is the only one who drinks it. So it's either a continuity error or things have changed in the last few years.
They've probably changed.
Yeah, I'd like to think that.
Phoebe mentions that she didn't sleep very well. Piper immediately assumes cold problems. Phoebe's like, oh no, he's either soul searching or searching for a soul.
Which was kind of funny.
Also kind of a Spike callback.
Yeah, but, a little bit. She then pours some coffee and says that she's just overwhelmed at work and then goes to put on some purple knit fingerless gloves for some unknown reason.
Well, because clearly they match her choker.
I mean, they don't because the choker is red and her
They're maroon.
Are purple.
They're maroon. You know, what happens when the red ship and the purple ship crash into each other? All the sailors get marooned.
Yes. Piper happens to see the pen markings on Phoebe's hand that she apparently hasn't washed off.
They are fainter, though.
They are, but they're,
But she asks about them, and Phoebe mentions that she went to see a fortune teller, and then her phone rings, and she uses it as an excuse to get out of the room and go to work.
Yeah, she heads for the door, everyone follows, and there's a small continuity error. Because in the close-up shot, we hear the sound of Phoebe grabbing the cup that she poured coffee into, but as she walks away in the wider angle, the cup is still on the counter. And then, in the next shot, as they're walking through the dining room, she's carrying the cup. Mm-hmm. So, somebody was not paying attention. They make their way through the dining room into the foyer, with Paige calling after Phoebe, and Piper running to get in front of her so she can't get out the door. And we can now see that Leo is wearing light khaki pants and brown work boots. Paige, of course, asks why Phoebe went to see a fortune teller. Phoebe says that she went to get her fortune told, and Piper just kind of gives her a look.
Phoebe gives in, saying that Piper can't freak out because she doesn't have time for it, and she tells them that she went to find out why she hadn't gotten a premonition in the last few months.
For reference, the last time we saw her have a premonition was back in episode 421.
Which was the one just before the season finale, so... she then hands Leo her cup of coffee and tries to levitate, but it only makes it like an inch and a half or so off of the floor.
Yeah.
And it's a very clear green screen moment, like really stupidly obvious.
Yeah. Kind of bad.
Like they couldn't literally just... There's one person on either side of her. She can't just fucking like put her arms on their shoulders and lift up a little bit.
Yeah, they could have absolutely done this in a practical way.
Yeah.
And they just didn't.
She would have shaken, but, that would probably have lent credence to the fact that her powers aren't working.
Yeah.
Very well.
Paige wonders if a demon could have something to do with it, but Phoebe's like, no, I can still cast spells, and there's still, the whole power of 3 thing. So whatever is happening is more natural than supernatural.
Leo puts her cup down on the table and asks why she didn't come to him as her white lighter. She's like, you've been busy.
He questions her and she goes, okay, I've been busy. But that she's coming to them now.
Leo tells her sisters to yell at her while he goes to check with the elders, and he orbs out.
Piper can't believe that Phoebe went to a fortune teller instead of to them. Phoebe apologizes and says that she didn't want to worry them.
She then tells them that Madame Teresa intercepted her premonition during the reading. Piper's like, how? And Paige does a form of splaining where she's like, I've been reading about this. Gypsies can channel magic.
Yeah, because for some reason, a la convenience, she's got nothing better to do, so she's been reading up on gypsy magic.
Okay.
Because that's a thing that you just randomly do.
Yeah. Phoebe says that whatever she saw was bad enough that she closed the shop very quickly. Piper's like, you should go by and check on her. But Phoebe's like, I was going to. And then her phone rings again.
She says that it's work and she really has to go, so Paige says that she'll go for her as she has no life at the moment.
Phoebe thinks that'd be great, rummages through her purse, pulls out a card, and hands it to Paige. Which, when did she get this card?
Well, I'm assuming that she got the card...
Before she went,
and that's how she knew it was a thing.
Fair.
Yeah.
She thanks Paige, telling her to find out what Madame Teresa saw, and then leaves.
We jump over to Oren's son, as he pulls out what I'm assuming are Teresa's eyes, and putting them on a table, saying that he has a good feeling about them.
Putting them on, like a stainless steel tray.
Yeah, it was like a little tray
like
on
a
the
morgue
table.
Tray.
We then see Oren, wearing black goggles, and he is instantly recognizable as a that guy.
Yep.
Tobin Bell was born Joseph H. Tobin Jr. on August 7th, 1942 in Queens, New York. The name Bell comes from his mother, Eileen Bell. He has 117 acting credits so far, starting back in 1979. Now, if you're into horror movies, you'd probably recognize him from the Saw movie franchise. That's the one that, was an instant, oh, yeah, that guy.
Okay.
I know him from many other things that he is in, where it's literally just, oh, right, that guy. Because he's just got one of those faces.
He kind of does.
Yeah.
Oren is happy that the Shivani didn't put up a fight. His son is excited that his mind's eye was strong enough to see that far, and Oren's like, I've had time to develop it. And to demonstrate this fact, a little mouse runs across the table, and Oren does the red beam of light from his hand and just vaporizes the thing.
Yeah. He says, of course, that his mind's eye is no replacement for what's been stolen from him. And his son says that if the eyes work, he can have more than just his revenge.
So he takes the eyes over to Oren, who takes off his goggles, revealing CG'd empty eye holes.
Yep.
Which kind of reminded me of The Mummy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But worse.
The original Mummy.
With lower budget.
Yeah.
And so he does this a couple of times in this episode where he tries to put eyes into his eyes and as a pantomime, it's not that great.
It's a hilarious motion because he actually has eyes, the actor, he's basically just putting his fingers to his face and moving them a little.
And he's cupping
Cupping his fingers.
Yeah, like if you're doing a shadow puppet, and then just, like, putting them in his eyes and, like, twisting his hands a little bit, and then revealing, like, his eyes. But, like, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because he's not, like, making it look real. It's just like, here, I'm holding things, and then I just pretend like I put them in. It's like a child miming this. It's so funny to me.
Yeah, it's not the best pantomime.
Yeah, because there's clearly no pressure happening, and like your orbital bone is what keeps your fucking eyes inside of your head. Yeah. Like, is it possible to pop them out? Yes, in certain circumstances. Yeah. There's also a specific condition that some people can be born with where they can voluntarily slightly pop their eyes out.
Yes, I have seen that.
And there's a Guinness record for how far you can do that.
Yeah.
If you have this condition.
Yes.
So
it is, and it's creepy.
It is wild.
Yeah.
It's very, honestly, it's kind of vaudeville.
It's creepy.
Well, yes, but like it's
like cartoon horror movie.
Yes, vaudeville. Anyway.
So he places the eyes in his sockets. They burn. He cries out in pain. His son thinks that they should just stop trying to find eyes, but Orn says that the eyes he seeks are worth the pain, and that there happens to be a Shivani nearby that he can see with his mind's eye.
Yeah. We jump over to Madame Teresa's shop. Lots of Popo. Paige is outside.
Popo.
Yeah, Popo.
I don't know why, but anybody calling police Popo is just funny to me.
Okay. Lots of pigs.
No, see, that's worse. Because that's... As much as I think that, there are a lot of bad cops out there, there's still a lot of good cops out there, and so just being derogatory is just weird.
Nah. I mean, the phrase everyone likes to use regarding corruption in the police system is, oh, a few bad apples, but they don't remember the end of that phrase, which is spoil the barrel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, I personally, if we're going to use a word, I like to use pennies.
Oh, yeah, coppers.
Yeah, because some of them are dirty, some of them are shiny, but most of them are worthless.
Yeah. And they cost more than they're worth.
Yeah.
And
anyway.
And you could definitely, use them as flooring.
Speaking of horror movies.
$2.77 a yard, baby.
Oh, Jesus fuck. Okay. Paige is outside Madame Teresa's shop. Lots of cops around. She has changed into jeans and a long black tube top.
Kind of charcoaly, very structured, very cute.
Yeah, it's not like...
It looked like it was sort of corset patterning.
Yeah, but it wasn't corset-esque because it wasn't
it was
tapered in
It was
any way.
The corset paneling, though.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Because it was structured.
Yeah, but it wasn't tapered in any way. It was just kind of straight up and down, which is why I basically called it a long tube top.
It looked tapered because of the shape that Rose McGowan is.
Yes, but that just means it was tight. Her hair is down and mostly straight, and she has a large blue purse over her shoulder.
She calls Phoebe at work, who has now donned said maroon fingerless gloves, and will switch between them during the call. Paige is like, I'm at the fortune teller. Bad news. She dead.
Yeah. Paige says that Teresa was murdered and that her eyes were gouged out, so she thinks it's demonic.
Yep.
I mean, logical leap.
Right. Phoebe thinks that she should have been able to prevent it since her powers should have been working. And then Elise comes and interrupts in the doorway. Now, we're going to fast track this a bit because it's a bit of a confusing conversation moment, but that's also kind of the point.
Yeah. So we hope that you'll be able to follow along.
Yeah. Elise says that Phoebe was loved on Hotline and they want her to guest host for the rest of the week.
Paige says that it's not Phoebe's fault because if she had been meant to stop the murder, she would have gotten a premonition.
Phoebe says she knows to Paige, tells Elise she can't, and Elise is like, I already booked it. Paige is confused by Phoebe saying she can't.
Phoebe tells Elise that she's swamped, and Paige says that they need to find the demon and stop him.
And then Elise says, oh, that's the price of success, and leaves.
Paige, of course, realizes that Phoebe hasn't responded in a moment. Phoebe says that she'll meet her at home and they'll get started, and then she hangs up. Paige is left confused, and then we see Phoebe jump up and run after Elise.
She asks if Elise can postpone the radio show because she's barely got time to write her column along with everything else. And Elise mocks her in the form of a Dear Phoebe letter, says, what should someone do when their career's on the fast track and they're wildly popular and the money really, really rocks? Phoebe's like, stop whining.
Yeah. Elise says that she's good, meaning good at her job, and then walks off. We then get an exterior shot of a hospital that I know we've seen this shot before. And then we cut inside to see a female doctor, who we will learn is named Ava. She is wearing scrubs, her hair is partially pulled back, and this actress is a bit of a that girl.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you about her real quick. Her name is Emmanuelle
Vogier or Vogier?
Vogier? Yeah, I'm not sure. It's Canadian.
It's French-Canadian is what it is.
Yeah. She was born June 23rd, 1976 in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. She has 109 credits so far, starting back in 1985. Now, I recognized her from CSI New York, Covert Affairs, Lost Girl. Like, those are the three where I was like...
I'm pretty sure she's also been on How I Met Your Mother. But I could be wrong about that.
I'm not sure. I know she was on Smallville, One Tree Hill, Two and a Half
Smallville,
Men,
for sure.
and Mistresses, which is a show that Alyssa also was on. And she was in the movie Saw 2. So, you know, connections everywhere. Right? Ava is telling the patient in the bed that she's standing next to that he's going to be fine with his surgery, routine surgery, all that good stuff. And then Lydia walks in and starts speaking to her in Romanian, which my Google Translate app, #not sponsored, says that she says, something terrible is happening in Romanian. Because I knew it was Romanian, but I didn't know what it was. So I've used the Google Translate a lot in this to try and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Ava excuses herself and takes Lydia across the room, asking her what she's doing there, calling her Aunt Lydia. Lydia, of course, speaks Romanian again, which Google Translate gave me as, why did you put something on? Which I don't think is correct.
Yeah, I know.
But she wasn't speaking... She was speaking so fast that my Google Translate couldn't really pick it up easily. Ava tells her to speak English because she doesn't speak the language anymore.
Which helpfully sidesteps the fact that it's not the correct language.
I don't think that it's not the correct language.
Well, she's speaking Romanian.
No, it's just that she doesn't speak the language anymore. She doesn't speak Romanian.
Well, yeah, but like...
Because later on, she does mention it's Romanian, so...
Okay, well, at this point, it's not mentioning which language it is, but, like, they shouldn't be using Romanian,
No, they shouldn't, but, you know, we've already had that moment. Lydia says that they are both in danger because Oren, the gypsy hunter that she's heard stories about, is seeking revenge on the Shivanis. Ava says that she's not interested in the stories, and Lydia tells her that Teresa was murdered and she was on the phone with her when it happened.
Lydia tells Ava that Teresa had a vision of Oren coming for her, and warns that Oren will come for her too. And Ava's like, I'm not Shivani, I'm a doctor.
But, you know, Lydia says that she can't change what she was born to be, and that Oren won't care that she's rejected her heritage and will sentence her anyway.
Ava says she's sorry about Teresa's death, promises to come to the funeral and pay her respects, but she's not going to run from a fictional demon. And she says she has to get back to work and starts to walk away.
Lydia tells her to trust in gypsy magic, and Ava says that the magic didn't help her mother. Lydia says that by the time Ava's mother got sick, it was too late for the magic, and Ava says that she could have gotten chemo instead of relying on herbs and spells. And you know what? I'm with Ava on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. As someone who has gotten chemo, I can say that it is totally worth it if you believe in science and medicine. But if you're not into the wonder of technology, you're just fooling yourself.
Yeah.
Vaccinate your kids.
Yes. Vaccinate your fucking kids.
Yeah. This has been today's PSA.
And yourselves.
Yeah. If you can get vaccinations, do it.
Yes.
Anyway.
Ava says that if gypsy magic worked, she'd be able to see and talk to her mother in the afterlife. Getting upset.
Yeah.
Lydia starts to say something, but Ava says she doesn't have time and Lydia should turn to the police instead of superstition on the death of her friend.
We then get a quick exterior shot of the manor, and then into the living room where Piper and Leo are sitting on the couch watching the birthing video. Piper is in a red shirt with a penis collar and pink pants. And her hair is in a messy ponytail.
Like a really high messy ponytail, too.
And she has the little square diamond necklace. And this video is supposed to be of a home birth. But the woman in the video is very clearly in a hospital gown with an IV in her arm and a hospital bracelet on her wrist.
Yep. Piper says that she needs an epidural just to watch the video. So Leo fast forwards the tape a bit. He's looking for the part where the parents get to meet the baby. And Piper just kind of sits there chewing on her thumb. And then the male voice on the TV says something about the birthing partner coaching the breathing, which I think it's weird that a dude is narrating this.
Well, you know.
And we hear the birthing mother crying out in pain.
So Piper snatches the remote off Leo, mutes the TV, and tells him to let her know when the baby is out and cleaned up, and says that she needs a sterile hospital and lots of professional medical people.
And, Pipes, hospitals ain't sterile.
No.
Not by long shot. There's more dangerous germs in a hospital.
Yep.
Than there are going to be at home for you. Especially if you, clean things properly in your home.
Yeah. And, fun fact, the germs in your home, recycle. It's like if you move into a brand new home, whoever lived there before, their germs are there for 7 days. And then that entire house is covered in your germs now.
It might take longer than that, I feel.
The average is 7 days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But also, dust is skin. So
yep.
You're gonna all the dust in your place is gonna be you.
Yep.
Once you clean it the first time.
Yep. Anyway.
Paige
walks in, sees the TV, and asks if they're watching a horror movie.
Piper says it's the home birthing video, but she's strangely not feeling the joy. And Paige tells them that Madame Teresa was murdered.
She says that Daryl said that her death was the third in a string of gypsy killings, and all of them have had their eyes gouged out.
Leo says the video isn't as gruesome now, but Piper disagrees. And then Phoebe walks in, saying she needs to fit the Vanquish in between 2 deadlines and 3 meetings, and asks Leo what he found out about her powers.
Leo says that nothing is wrong, so the disconnect is because of her emotions.
Paige says it's a case of use 'em or lose 'em, and says that they should go to Teresa's funeral in case it helps Phoebe to get a premonition that will help them find the demon.
Piper quips that Paige wanting to go to prenatal yoga that morning and now crashing a stranger's funeral means that she really does need friends. Paige calls her mean, and Phoebe laughs a little.
We then get a quick night shot over the water, looking at the city, and then fade into a shot of what seems to be a form of trailer park.
Yeah, there's a few little trailers, there's a ton of people standing around, including the girls, and Lydia is saying a eulogy in Romanian. Now, Google Translate, once again, gives a bit of a weird translation for the eulogy because she, speaks really quickly.
Yeah.
And so it can't always pick it up. And there's music playing over it and all of that, so it's a little hard. But so the first part translated as, at the unknown, at the corner, lesson rabbit, and the neighbor's Emin. And then the second part translates to something that makes a little more sense, Lord have mercy. Anyway. We see Ava in the crowd, now wearing a sensible suit instead of her scrubs.
We see the girls in the crowd, and Phoebe has just added a pink jacket to the outfit she was already in.
Paige is now in a gray miniskirt that looks like some sort of wool fabric over red tights. Remember that. And a shirt that has a pattern of some sort, but it's being covered by a dark blue jacket that has light blue trim detailing. I really liked this jacket. Her hair is down and straight. Piper has changed into black pants and a dark brown shirt under a long, light brown coat, and her hair is pulled into a low bun.
Paige has no idea what's being said, but thinks the symbolism is beautiful. Phoebe agrees, and we see Teresa's body on display, and people are placing food around her, including a large box of saltines.
Yeah.
Name brand.
Yep.
Phoebe's like, don't you think Teresa looks crowded? And Paige is like, oh yeah, that's the custom to send their people into the next life with things that they might need. But Piper makes a joke because of the cracker. She's like, I really need a cracker. Can I steal one from her?
Yeah. Do you think it'd be bad for me to grab that box of saltines? Phoebe's like, yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Lydia starts to speak in English, and Phoebe's phone rings. Paige chastises her, and Phoebe pulls her phone from her pants. Not her pocket, but her pants. It is like, it's a flip phone that is flipped over the top of her pants.
Yeah. I just wonder why she can't seem to figure out how to put the phone on silent.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing you've always been able to do. She just doesn't do it.
Yeah. She stops the phone from ringing. The eulogy ends, and a violinist starts playing. Piper tells Phoebe to put a little shoulder into it.
Well, okay, so the eulogy ends, and a dude with a violin starts miming playing, and we hear violin music.
Yes, this is true.
The dude is not playing the violin.
Yeah, no. Piper tells Phoebe to put a little shoulder into it because she won't get a premonition just standing there, and kind of gives her a nudge. So Phoebe starts walking through the crowd, excusing herself as she passes people.
Cut to Lydia talking to Ava. Lydia asks if she's staying for the Pomana.
Now, the only Pomana that I know of is part of a Christmas tradition that's a pig sacrifice. It's called Pomana Porc Louis. It's cubed pork, it's pan-fried right after the pig is killed. It's basically a thank you to the friends and family that helped with the process. Lydia says that she made a stew, which could be the tocachura, which is a stew made from beef and pork in a tomato sauce, served with over-easy eggs, and a porridge called mamaliga, which is made out of yellow maize flour.
Ava asks if Lydia isn't worried about the gypsy hunter. Lydia says that he won't attack in a crowd, so they'll all be safe there. Ava's like, I don't have any interest in staying, and asks Lydia to accept that, and says she has to get back to work.
Ava starts to walk away. Lydia starts to follow her, but Ava is very fast. Phoebe bumps into Lydia and has a black and white premonition, where we see Teresa, the violinist, and then Lydia by what looks to be stacks of wood, and then Lydia's eyes being stolen. Lydia asks if she's okay, as Phoebe comes out of the premonition. She says she's fine, and then Lydia nods and walks away. Piper and Paige walk up to Phoebe.
And Piper asks if she got anything. Phoebe says she got bits and pieces and is extremely slow about explaining what they were. Is completely unable to get to the pertinent information. She basically describes the stuff she saw that was around them, and then Piper and Paige are just like, yeah, we see that too.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then she's like, also, that woman and her eyes. I'm like, why did you let her get so fucking far away?
Right? So, yeah, she's like, the woman that I bumped into. Oh, yeah, she's about to die. Oh, maybe we should go after her.
Maybe.
Yeah. So they all go running after Lydia.
And we cut to Lydia running through these very large, like, log stacks.
She's calling out for Ava.
There's this lumberyard of some variety.
She hears a man's voice saying that the funeral was nice and touching, and asking if there will be any Shuvanis left to throw her one.
I think Shuvani is supposed to be its own plural, isn't it?
They said Shuvanis.
Well, yeah, but they're probably wrong.
Hey.
I mean, it's a made-up word, I'm pretty sure, but they're wrong.
Sure.
Grammatically, they're wrong. They got me.
Anyway, Oren's son appears behind her. She spins around, calling out something in Romanian that I couldn't translate. And then her eyes turn green, and green light shoots out of them and hits the ground in front of him, causing a dust storm to form around him.
He groans and covers his face, which makes her smile, but he's able to shoot a red beam of light at Lydia and knock her to the ground. Dust storm settles. He says she's the one, and I don't think he means to propose to her. No. So he throws the red beams from his hands to her eyes.
The girls run around the corner. Piper cries out and tries to blow him up.
But instead we get the most hilarious wire work of the show.
He goes ass over tea kettle.
He goes ass over tea kettle in the way where you can pretty clearly see where the wires are hooked into his belt.
Yeah, I think
because he's doing that that backwards flip leg, but it's all so controlled. It's wild. And also, his jacket looks shinier like this.
Well, there is that. But, out of all of the wire work that they've ever had in the show, this is the worst wire work.
Yeah.
Because it just looks like wire work.
And green screen.
Yeah. It's horrible. He goes spinning through the air. He lands behind a pile of wood, and we hear the thud of him falling.
Yeah.
Piper says that he was supposed to blow up and is confused why he didn't. But, haven't we already had the baby doesn't want the bad things to happen storyline? So why is she so confused?
I don't know. Maybe it was just a gypsy hunter quirk.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway.
They hear Lydia groaning pretty exaggeratedly.
Yeah.
And they run over to her. And Oren's son then jumps back on top of the woodpile and looks down at them.
And Paige looks up and goes, "That's not good." And he shoots the red beams of light at them, but Paige orbs them out just in time, and we go to commercial break.
We come back to Lydia sitting on a chair in the dining room at the manor. Leo heals her eyes
and her makeup.
Just like clothing, right?
Yeah.
And the P3 sign. While Piper, Phoebe, and Paige kind of stand around.
They've all taken off their jackets, and we can now see Paige's shirt. It is either a stylized flower or a bunch of balloons. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure which, but it's in shades of orange, red, and brown, and the trim and the sleeves are in a shade of mustard yellow.
Yeah, and they're a little poofed at the shoulder.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's also a continuity error with her outfit, because her skirt has now gone from gray fabric to black leather.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, what?
Whatever. Lydia thanks Leo, says she has to go, and gets up to leave. Paige is like, you don't have to be afraid. And Lydia's like, I'm not afraid. Witches and gypsies come from sister traditions. Sure. And she appreciates everything they've done. So she says that she has to go again. And Piper's like, you still got a demon after you.
She replies that she's not the only one with a demon after her, and she heads for the door. Paige says that while Lydia has powers, they face demons all the time, and asks her to tell them what she knows.
Phoebe says that they might be there to help, and Lydia stops. She gets a little exposition time, telling them that years ago, her tribe threw a curse to blind a gypsy hunter named Oren, so he couldn't spot them. Phoebe mentions that the demon they saw wasn't blind, and this is when we finally learn that Oren's son's name is Cree.
Yep. Which, Cree is
a Native American tribe, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
And this is with a C. With a K, it's part of the MCU.
Yes.
Lydia says that Cree is killing Shivani's in the name of his father. Piper questions the word, and Paige explains that it's their form of a high priestess.
Yep. Because, Paige has nothing better to do and has been reading about this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she totally knows.
Yeah. Phoebe's phone rings, everyone glares at her, and she turns it off.
Lydia tells them that her niece, Ava, is, we assume, genetically a Shivani, but has rejected her magic and is thus defenseless.
Leo asks why she can't just curse Cree like she did Oren, and she explains that there aren't enough Shivani left to pool the power, and Ava won't listen to her.
Paige asks if they can help, and then the house phone rings, and everyone glares at Phoebe again, so she goes to answer it. Paige says that it's sometimes easier to hear the truth from a stranger than it is to hear it from family.
Lydia then tells them Ava's full name and where she works.
Piper hopefully asks if she's an OBGYN, and Lydia's like, no, a surgeon?
And Piper's like, close enough.
She says she'll go. Paige asks why, and Piper's like, I'm done being nauseous, and I can fight Cree if he attacks. So either Leo is orbing, or I am driving.
Yeah.
And she grabs her coat.
Leo orbs out with Piper, and Phoebe walks back in on the phone with Elise. She's saying that she can't make it to whatever Elise wants her to go to, and asks if it can be moved. Paige then reminds her that they have to check the Book of Shadows and make a vanquishing potion. Phoebe promises Elise that she'll be there, and she hangs up. Lydia apologizes for interrupting their lives. Paige is like, no, this is our lives. My sister just needed a little reminder.
Paige, fucking,
really?
You know what it is to have your job interrupted by witchy stuff?
Yeah.
Just because you don't have a job doesn't mean everyone else can completely dedicate their lives to fighting all of the shit. Phoebe needs a paycheck.
Yep. Anyway.
I mean, sure, they've got to live in handyman now, so... But, there's still property tax to think about.
Yep.
Even if they don't... I mean, I'm sure they outright own the house. They've had it in the family for generations.
Certain, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we cut to Oren's place. Oren is sitting with his goggles on, holding a black ball in his hand. Cree walks up behind him. Oren asks if he's injured. Cree says no, and then asks if Oren saw everything.
Oren says he saw enough. And Cree says something about not being prepared, but Oren cuts him off to say the search is over, and he'll be prepared next time. Cree complains about her being protected by witches and wonders how he'll get to her. Oren says the witches can't protect her heart and tells Cree to go after Ava.
So we cut to the maternity ward at the hospital.
Yeah.
Piper is watching a nurse hand new parents a newborn baby. Leo walks around the corner, puts his arm around Piper, and Piper's like, they even teach them to swaddle. Which is, of course, the practice of wrapping infants in blankets in order to limit the movement of their limbs.
Also gets them to sleep faster.
Yes. It basically puts them in a little cocoon of love.
It's a little pressure bandage.
Yeah.
For a little baby.
Yeah. It's a cocoon of love and pressure and coziness.
Yeah.
They're a baby burrito.
Yes.
Leo says that they need to find Ava. They turn to leave, and then Piper holds her stomach. She says she doesn't feel well and that she needs help. She sits down saying that she needs a real doctor, and Leo asks what happens when they check the security camera to find out why the sonogram machine blew up like it did with Phoebe's baby.
Piper reminds him that Phoebe's baby was a demon, and theirs is an angel, for crying out loud.
Yep.
And then we hear a voice say something to Dr. Nikolai. Ava thanks him, and she walks in from around the corner. She's taken off her suit jacket and is now wearing her white doctor coat with a stethoscope around her neck, because why not? Ava walks past Piper and Leo, and Piper calls her name and gets up to go over to her.
Ava asks if she knows them. Piper's like, we're friends of your Aunt Lydia's, and Ava asks if something is wrong. Piper says, kinda, and then mentions the gypsy hunter. Ava stops her, saying she doesn't mean to be rude, but that they look like, quote-unquote, normal people, but that her aunt is a very superstitious person.
Leo says Lydia is afraid for her because people are dying. And Ava's like, yeah, that's why I'm at the hospital. I'm saving lives using medicine, not magic. Which really feels like a line.
It does a little bit. Piper says that magic is part of who she is, and Ava says that relying on magic is what killed her mom. Piper says that she understands what it's like to lose her mom, but that she can't deny who she is.
A voice comes on over the intercom, paging Ava to the emergency room. Ava says she has to go, walks away. Piper's like, what do we do now? Leo's like, well, we try again. But Piper covers her mouth and holds her stomach, and Leo asks if she's okay. She's like, fuck no, take me to a doctor. Any doctor.
Yeah. Back at the kitchen at the manor, Lydia throws something into a pot, and it explodes.
Phoebe and Paige are standing on either side of her, and Lydia says to add ice to thicken the potion. So Phoebe grabs some ice cubes and drops them in. And Paige is like, I never thought about adding turmeric to anything but Indian food.
Lydia says it's nice to be able to share her magic with someone. Phoebe says that Ava will come around because sometimes it takes a while for people to embrace their magic, ribbing Paige, who pulls a face.
Yeah.
Lydia says that Ava is the last of their line, so if she doesn't carry on the tradition, it will die. To which I went, even if she does carry on the tradition, if she doesn't have kids, it will die.
Yeah.
So I don't... Okay.
Paige says that's not going to happen, and Phoebe bows her head, looking sad. Lydia says that being hard on herself won't bring her powers back, and Phoebe's like, what can't you see? And Lydia's like, I think I can help. So she walks over to the sink and puts some tea leaves in a cup.
Phoebe thinks that her stress level is beyond chamomile tea, but Lydia says she's not going to drink it. She pours some water in the cup and then says she's going to swirl it. Paige seems impressed that Lydia can read tea leaves, and they go over to stand next to Lydia by the sink. Phoebe takes the cup. Phoebe swirls the water in the cup. Lydia tells her to pour the water out, so she tips the water into the sink, and then Lydia immediately takes the cup from her.
Yeah. What I'm always amazed by when people do, like, reading tea leaves, I'm always amazed at how many tea leaves are left in the cup. Because I'm like, when I dump, like, water that has some kind of sediment or particulate matter in it, I swirl it to get the particulate matter moving, and then I dump it because it removes all of that.
Yeah.
So, the fact that there's so many tea leaves left in this cup is very amusing to me.
Yep. It's part of the magic, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Lydia says that she sees an axe, a thorn, a broken spiral, and interprets this as the fact that Phoebe, like her powers, are way out of balance.
Yeah. Phoebe says that that's what Madame Teresa said, and Lydia explains that it happens when your brain overrides your heart, and that the only way to regain the balance is to find out why. Paige, of course, says that she never would have seen those shapes. Lydia tells her that it takes practice and asks Paige to read hers, so she fills the cup with water again, not adding any more tea leaves, swirls it, tips it out, and hands it to Paige.
Paige kind of puzzles in there when Lydia asks what she sees. She's like, I see an X, and this one looks like a lightning bolt. And Lydia immediately, like, grabs the cup and looks into it, says, Ava, puts it down on the island, and starts to leave. She says that she can't put them in any more danger, and then throws something in the potion, and it explodes again with, like, smoke.
Yeah. Smoke
she smoke bombed them.
Yeah, smoke fills the room, and she leaves through the back door. Phoebe looks in the cup as Paige tries to go after Lydia, but apparently Lydia runs fast and is just gone.
Well, it was also kind of a flash bomb, too.
Well, yeah, but she immediately went outside. It's not like she
I know. But, like, they were disoriented by the flash and the smoke, is what I'm saying.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, unless Lydia has some sort of teleportation, something, they should have been able to continue to follow her, because all she did was run out the back door. So she either went up behind the house or down the driveway, and either way...
Well, she's leaving out of the kitchen, so driveway.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She either went behind the house, like cutting through whatever the house is across the way, or she went down the driveway. Either way, they should have been able to find her quickly, but Paige apparently stops looking very fast.
Mm-hmm. Paige comes back in and asks Phoebe what she's doing. Phoebe's like, I'm trying to see what Lydia saw. Paige is like, you can't read tea leaves. But Phoebe says, yeah but I get premonitions. Duh. And kind of begs to see something.
She then gets another black and white premonition of Cree and Ava in a parking lot, possibly at the hospital. Paige wonders why Piper and Leo can't stop him, and we cut over to the hospital.
Piper and Leo are in a little exam room where a male nurse is using phlebotomy to draw blood from Piper's arm.
That is the process of using a needle to take blood from a vein, and the actual procedure is called venipuncture.
Which is extremely literal.
Yeah.
It means puncturing your vein.
Yep. I have had that happen to me a lot.
Yep.
Because cancer.
Yep.
This male nurse is played by Joe Camarino. He was born June 17th, 1974 in New York City. He has 32 acting credits so far, starting back in 1994. And one of those roles was as computer in a 2014 movie called Revenge of the Bimbot Zombie Killers, where there was a character named Dr. Agatha von Krappenpants. And I just needed people to know that.
I really want to slap the table right now.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yep. And the woman who played Dr. Agatha von Krappenpants is named Carolyn Wilson. She was actually in an episode of Gilmore Girls. Which, also funny to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Piper is sitting up on one of the table/bed, well, the exam tables.
Yeah.
And we can see that the belt she's wearing is fringed.
It is a very interesting belt for her. It's a little bit of like a Prue vibe.
Mm-hmm.
The nurse says that it's perfectly normal for some women to be nauseous throughout their entire pregnancy. Piper says that she just wanted to make sure, as a first-time mom. And then Leo says that he's getting paged. And the captions wrote it as P-A-I-G-E-D.
Yeah, that's how I saw it in my head.
So hard.
That's definitely how I saw it in my head. It was a good pun.
Yeah.
The nurse gives him a look, and as no sound happens, so Leo kind of pats his pants pocket and says, yeah, it's on vibrate.
The nurse asks if he doesn't want to see who's paging him, but Leo's like, only her sisters have the number. We should hurry up.
Yeah.
I mean, of all of the things that he has said, that's the most believable one.
Right?
So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's fun. The nurse says he's almost done, pulls the needle out, and we see a small spot of blood left behind. Bad phlebotomist. And then he turns to go get a Band-Aid, or possibly just gauze and some tape.
And the reason that I say he's a bad phlebotomist is because a real phlebotomist, like a good one, has the Band-Aid ready to go.
Yeah.
You put a piece of cotton on the thing of the Band-Aid, you hold it there, and then you pull the needle out and slap the Band-Aid down. You don't have to turn and get the Band-Aid after the fact.
But we needed to have Piper's baby heal the teensy ass wound so that the guy could turn around and go, how?
Oh, yeah.
No, he said how.
No, he goes, oh.
Oh, I heard how.
No.
I heard him go like, how?
No. He goes, oh.
Leo's like, she's a fast healer. Thanks him, and then grabs Piper's hand, and she kind of like turns her feet all the way onto the other side of the bed, and then just slides right off.
Yeah, they rush out of the room, and outside, an ambulance drives past with the siren on, which is a nice little transition shot. It's cute.
Phoebe and Paige are standing in the street outside the emergency room door as Piper and Leo orb in.
You know, just in the middle of the street.
Right.
Yep. Paige asks where Ava is. Leo says that she's in surgery and asks why they're there. Paige says that they're trying to find Lydia. Phoebe says that she's gone after Cree. They hear a scream and they run in the direction of it.
Cut to Lydia and Cree. Lydia gets up off the ground. There's some smoke around her. Cree asks if she's surprised to see him again. She says, hardly, and her eyes turn green, and they shoot green beams of light at Cree.
It doesn't harm him, and in fact gets sucked into his eyeballs, as he says that he was ready for her this time.
Lydia pulls out the vial of potion from her skirt, but before she can throw it, Cree throws the red beams of light into her eyes, and she just kind of like screams and drops the potion in front of her.
The girls and Leo arrive. Phoebe calls out for Lydia, and Cree turns on them. Lydia drops to the ground. Phoebe throws the potion at Cree and vanquishes him. He screams, goes up in flames, and then explodes. It was a very nice vanquish.
Yeah, it was like a couple of seconds, too. It was, like, lengthy.
Yeah, it was a good vanquish.
Yeah, they run over to Lydia, and Leo tries to heal her, but can't, and he looks up at the girls. We then cut to Ava and some nurses trying to revive an Asian patient with a defibrillator.
Now, one of the nurses is played by Heather McFall. She was born November 29th, 1962 in La Mesa, Texas, and she has 65 acting credits so far, starting back in 1992. Single episodes of TV shows for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Ava is using the pedals on the patient, but the patient is continuing to flatline. It doesn't work. So she goes to use them again and like does the rub together, and then jumps when she sees Lydia lying there instead. Lydia calls to Ava, says something in Romanian, and then Ava kind of like steps back in shock.
Now, I wasn't able to translate it all, but the last bit of the phrase that she says is, "Don't leave them."
Yeah.
The nurse asks if Ava is okay, and then takes the paddles from her. The patient is back on the table, and Lydia is gone, and the nurse calls a code on the patient, and we go to commercial break. We come back to another exterior hospital shot, and then the girls and Leo are waiting in a hallway, all now have their jackets on, and Leo is talking to a policeman.
Ava is standing in the hall, and a covered body, like a morgue body, is wheeled down the corridor. Ava looks at Piper, who looks back sympathetically, and then Ava rushes to the body. She realizes immediately that it's Aunt Lydia, despite the fact that it's completely closed. She starts to cry, and then the body gets wheeled off screen.
Piper rushes over to Ava, takes her to a seat around the corner, and then hands her a tissue.
Ava says she saw Mulo, which she says is the living dead, and that she's never believed it before. Piper asks what happened, so Ava says that, her patient died, and then the body became Lydia, but no one else saw, so she thought she was going crazy.
Phoebe says that she's sorry, and Ava says that it's her fault because she didn't believe it when Lydia tried to warn her that morning. Piper, of course, says that it's not her fault because she had reasons to be skeptical, and asks if Lydia was trying to tell her something.
Ava says she doesn't remember much. She just knows that a mulo is a bad omen, and something horrible is about to happen.
Paige says that they vanquished Cree. Piper asks about Oren, and then Leo comes walking up behind Piper.
Ava says it has to be Oren because Lydia was trying to warn her, and even though her Romanian is weak, she understood that Lydia was saying that he was trying to take her power away.
Piper wonders how he can take her power away now that she's dead, and Ava tells her that Lydia kept repeating a word in Romanian, but that she doesn't know what it means. Paige says that they should go to Lydia's apartment with the thought that Phoebe could get a premonition, but Phoebe says they need to work on the vanquishing potion, so she wants to go back to the house and try to remember what Lydia used. Paige says that they could really use her power. Phoebe's like, yeah, I know, and then asks Leo to take her home.
He says sure, and they walk around the corner. Paige asks what they do now, and Ava says that Teresa would know.
We then get a night street shot with a bridge in the background. It's a very nice shot. And then in Teresa's apartment, we see a picture of Teresa and Lydia, and then Ava drapes a black veil over the photo.
She says that covering the photos of the dead is an old custom, and Piper's like, you're remembering a lot of those.
Yeah, it's also a Jewish custom.
Yeah.
So.
And y'all cover mirrors, too.
Yep. Ava says that no one knew more about the traditions than Teresa, who was the holy woman of the tribe, and she always made sure that the traditions were passed down from mother to daughter.
She says that her mom tried to pass them down to her, but she wouldn't listen. And then Paige finds a large, kind of bejeweled chest in a cupboard and just pulls it out. It's like, it's beautiful. Here, take a look.
Yeah.
Ava walks over and asks to look at the chest. She says it's her mother's, and she can't believe Teresa kept it. So she takes it from Paige and sits down on the couch.
Paige says that she might have been saving it for a special day, which makes Ava smile, and says that her mother called it her treasure chest and she kept precious things in it.
And when she opens the box, we immediately see a photo of a woman and her small, dark-haired child, which we are to assume is Ava and her mother.
Yeah. She starts to tear up and says that her mother made them matching dresses for Christmas, working very hard to finish them in time. And the photo is them both wearing matching dresses. It was very cute. Paige says that she understands because her mom died 10 years ago and she still can't open some of those boxes.
Yep. Ava pulls out a book and opens it, saying they're recipes and herbal remedies, and asks if they're spells. Paige nods, and Piper's like, it might not be too late to learn them. And then Paige pulls out a necklace that is much like Lydia's, a stylized cross with a weird eyeball and some viscera around it, like welded to the middle.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, this looks like Lydia's locket. And I'm like, do you fucking know what a locket is?
Hey, you know. Ava
amulet.
Says,
it's an amulet. Locket's open.
Yes. Ava says that it is the evil eye, which is their family's talisman, and Piper immediately questions why her family symbol is evil.
And Ava's like, oh yeah, only the people who are like dicks to us.
Yeah, the evil eye is only evil to those who wish it harm. I'm just like, I mean, it's called the fucking evil eye, all right?
She says that many fear the evil eye, but her family was protected by it, and that folklore says the keeper of the eye could use it to magnify or channel their powers. Paige is like, I don't think it's folklore, and then turns around to show an inscription on the back of the necklace, which says Wafediok, which Ava's like, oh, that's the evil eye.
Yeah, that is the word that
Lydia
had been repeating.
As a mulo, the word she was saying.
Yeah.
And then Paige is like, oh, I think Lydia was the keeper. She conjured the dust storm. And I'm like, how did you see that dust storm? Like,
right?
You got there after that.
Yeah.
And that this is what Cree was after. Piper realizes that he wasn't taking Shivani's eyes just out of revenge. He wanted the evil eye. And Ava realizes...
that makes Ava realize that Oren still wants the evil eye.
Yeah.
Because she not dumb.
Yeah, so we cut to the morgue of the hospital, and Oren... And why does this morgue have a fucking window?
Right?
Yeah, it should be in the basement. You don't want people, like, peeping Tommen on your dead bodies. Like, come on. But Oren is standing next to Lily's body, which is now lying on a slab. He's taking her eyes out, and he does that dumb pantomime thing where he pretends to put the eyes in his eye sockets, and then he walks over to a mirror. And apparently these ones don't burn out his face, so he's like, good. He says he'll have his revenge after he gives his son revenge. And then the morgue attendant walks in.
He is played by Ivan Shaw. He has 37 acting credits so far, starting back in 2001, and this was his fourth gig.
Mm-hmm.
The attendant asks who he is, why he's there. Oren says he is testing his new powers, and then his eyes turn green, and he shoots green beams of light at the attendant, burning a hole right through his chest.
And into the door behind him.
Yeah.
Which, they got that angle correct, so I was a little impressed.
Yes, it was quite nicely done.
It was like one of those, like, walk-in fridges.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the kitchen at the manor, where Phoebe is making the potion, and can I just mention, because I forgot to mention this earlier, the handle on that spoon is like an ergonomic thing you can just slip over it, like a pencil sleeve, like a rubber pencil sleeve, and I love it.
All right.
I love an ergonomic fitting thing.
Okay.
It's great.
Cool.
But yeah, Phoebe's making the potion. Leo is on the phone with Piper, telling her to be careful before hanging up, and tells Phoebe that they're going to the morgue.
Phoebe throws in some turmeric. The potion explodes, and she asks him to pass her the ice. He hands her a container of ice, and says that they should follow and see if she can get a premonition.
Phoebe says her sorry excuse for premonition put Lydia in the morgue.
And that just annoys me.
No.
Because she didn't get a premonition of Lydia. She got a premonition that showed flashes of Cree and Ava.
True.
And they fixed that one.
Yep.
By killing Cree.
Yep.
So, grr.
Yep. Leah reminds her that they lose innocence and it's not her fault, and says he blames Cole.
Phoebe is, of course, confused because Cole is out of town and for once not plaguing her life.
Leo says that Cole being out of town is the reason she figured out something was wrong with her powers, which is really reaching, Leo.
A little bit.
Like, Phoebe's the one who should be jumping to conclusions to blame Cole for everything. It's what she's been doing all fucking season. But no, you just had to take that over from her today, didn't you?
Yeah. But he says that she dove into her work to escape the pain, but that she hasn't slowed down and she's just gone from one obsession to another.
Again, not Cole's fault.
No, not so
Like,
much.
for once, not Cole's fault.
Yeah. The house phone rings, and the machine picks it up, and we hear Elise yelling for Phoebe. She races over, picks up the phone, apologizing, saying that she has had a major family emergency. Elise asks if it's more important than her career, and Phoebe's like, my career is important, but my family is more important.
Elise tells her to get her butt there now, and Phoebe hangs up on her. She thanks Leo for his words, and then Piper, Paige, and Ava over in.
Ava is now just in the suit skirt and a white button-down shirt, and Piper and Paige both have their jackets on. Piper says that Oren got the evil eye. Phoebe questions her on that, and Paige explains that Lydia's eyes have the power.
Ava says that that's what Lydia was trying to tell her, and she holds out the necklace. Paige says that she hopes the potion is ready because they're going to need it. And Phoebe takes the necklace and gasps as wind blows her hair. Someone is standing just to the side of camera.
With a lovely fan.
With a hairdryer.
Yeah.
Probably.
She moves backward toward the table. Paige asks if she's okay, and then Phoebe reaches out her left hand in front of her. She says that she's having a major premonition where she's in the future. Piper moves forward toward Phoebe, but Leo stops her, and Piper lets Phoebe go. In Phoebe's premonition, we are looking through Phoebe's eyes, where we see her right hand reaching out, and everything is in muted color.
And also kind of fuzzy.
Yeah.
We see Paige looking at the Book of Shadows with Leo to her side and Piper in front of her. The vision shifts to Oren appearing by a window. Piper throws the potion at him, but he just kind of grabs it and smashes it with his hand.
Yeah, and there's a glimpse of someone in a long white sleeve shirt standing next to Paige in this moment. So remember that for continuity issues.
Yeah. So after Oren crushes the potion, he shoots a green beam of light through Piper, through her chest.
Yep.
And then Leo lunges for Oren, but Oren grabs Leo's neck, twists it, and flings him across the room. Oren then shoots a beam of green into Paige's already fallen body, why did she fall over? And then stares at Phoebe and shoots the beam of light directly at camera. So the premonition ends, and Phoebe falls back against the table, and there's a little tiny burnt hole in her right shoulder.
Yeah, it's just over her right breast. It's not all the way up to her shoulder. So
it's just below the collarbone.
Yeah. She looks at her wound and then drops to the floor. Leo runs over to her and starts healing her as her sisters look on. She wakes up. Leo says it's okay and helps her sit up. Piper asks what happened, but gets no response other than Phoebe just kind of leaning in on her.
And then we go to commercial break. Back in the Wicker Room, everyone has removed their jackets.
Phoebe says that it has been a long time since her powers advanced, and boy did they get strong.
Yeah. Leo says they almost got her killed, and Piper wonders how she was at risk in the present when she was witnessing a future event. But Phoebe says it was being in two places at once, almost like she was astral projecting into the future as her future self.
Yeah.
Paige thinks it's great that her powers have advanced, and we'll want to talk about that after we make sure that we're still around to talk.
Yeah. Ava says that their best chance is to run and hide now that Oren has the evil eye. Leo asks about the vanquishing potion not working, and Phoebe explains that he didn't even flinch.
Piper says that Phoebe's new and improved premonitions are just a more vivid way of telling them that they're screwed, but Phoebe reminds her that the reason behind them is so that they can change the outcome. Then Ava asks, how?
We time jump to everyone walking into the attic.
Very cautiously, too.
Yeah. Piper thinks that it might be a bit suicidal to be walking into the room where Phoebe just saw them die, but Paige says that they have something Phoebe's premonition didn't. Ava. But don't you remember how I mentioned that we were shown a person in a long-sleeve white shirt? And remember how Ava is the only person wearing a long-sleeve white shirt.
I wonder if that would have been cropped in the original aspect ratio.
I don't know. Maybe, but the point is...
Yes, point being.
Little continuity issue.
Yeah.
Because the first time we see it, from the first point of view, she's not there. It's the second point of view when Piper goes to throw the thing that she's there.
Yeah. Ava asks how she's supposed to make a difference. Paige is like, well, the premonition shows that witchcraft alone wasn't enough to vanquish Oren, but the combo of witchcraft and gypsy magic will be. And I'll remind you, this potion was not their making. It was Lydia's potion.
Yep.
So yeah, wasn't witchcraft the first time either.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really.
Ava says that she doesn't know any gypsy magic, but Phoebe reminds her she was born with it inside of her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to get her aunt's warning.
Ava says that she can't defeat Orin on her own, and Paige is like, yeah, you won't need to. We're going to call upon your ancestors.
They all make their way into the exact same spot they were standing in during previous premonition, and Paige turns to a spell in the Book of Shadows. She's like, this is one we've used before. You just need to substitute the names.
Now, for reference, this is the spell that they used to vanquish Cole, which I just think is great.
Yeah. Ava decides to give it a go, and she reads the spell in a slightly different order than it was written originally. She says the beginning of the last part, calling upon the Nikolai gypsies, and then Orin appears again by the window. Piper turns around, throws a potion at him. He does the catch and smash.
Just like in the premonition.
And then Piper tells Ava to keep saying the spell. So Ava calls on Marina, Teresa, and Lydia, and then Orin shoots Piper through the chest. Phoebe, Paige, and Ava repeat the phrase, Nikolai gypsies stand strong beside us, vanquish this evil from time and space.
And then Leo runs over to Orin. Orin grabs Leo and twists his neck, flinging him across the room. Luckily, that twisting of the neck wasn't snapping his neck.
No.
Just saying.
Yeah.
The girls repeat the phrase a few more times. We see some spirits flying around the room. And even though they only call on 3 names, there are 4 spirits floating around, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Orin shoots green beams of light at the girls, but the spirits effectively shield them and reflect the beams back. And, he shoots 3, and they all go, bam, 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 back in his chest. And then he gets vanquished.
Yeah. It was quite nice. Now, the spirits then disappear. Phoebe goes running over to Piper. Leo is already healing her, and then she gets up. So this is apparently the only injury that the baby can't or won't heal. Because I think we've only seen superficial wounds being healed. Right?
Well, no. Wasn't that first one in the grotto kind of a serious one? Because it was on her stomach and she was freaking out about it? I mean, it didn't look that bad, but, Piper was freaking out about it and being like, what have you done to my baby?
Yeah.
But so I assumed that was kind of a serious one.
Yeah, but it wasn't, like a magic beam through the...
No. They definitely should have had the baby be like, yeah, don't hurt my mommy, bitch.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you'd think. But, apparently not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ava starts to cry, saying that she felt her mother there.
And then we get an exterior night shot of the manor, tree with no leaves on display, then a helicopter shot around the Transamerica Pyramid, a sunrise through the Golden Gate Bridge, and a very short skyline shot.
Like, the shortest.
Yeah.
It was there for, maybe 4 frames. It was so short.
Before finding ourselves back at the trailers where Teresa's funeral had been. It's now daytime, and people are sitting in little folding chairs outside a small trailer with a little porch and an awning, including Piper and Phoebe.
Piper is now in red pants and a white shirt that has ruffled cap sleeves and a little ruffle on the chest. Her hair is down and straight, and she has the little square diamond necklace on, and she has a black bag over her shoulder. Phoebe is in a low-cut orange halter top with no bra and grayish denim jeans with a pale stripe down the side. Her hair is pulled into a messy bun with her bangs down.
The door opens, and Ava walks out with her stethoscope around her neck. She is wearing a light blue t-shirt that has a flower pattern down the boobs and the kind of ruffly sleeves. A skirt that's denim on the top and then a paneled quilty sort of thing pattern on the bottom.
Yeah.
And she's wearing her little evil eye necklace and her hair is down. And wavy.
Yep. She asks who's next. Phoebe raises her hand. Piper's like, we are. And a heavily pregnant lady sitting next to them just kind of glances at her. And Piper's like, not really, but we'll make it super quick. And they walk over to Ava.
Piper asks how she's doing. Ava says she's fine, but it's hectic because she can only get there after her hospital shift. Phoebe says hectic is good, so long as it's not too hectic. And Ava says she thinks that she has her priorities in order, and helping gypsies who don't have healthcare is definitely a priority.
Phoebe says that it's good, and then Paige walks out holding a chart. She is in a black and pink striped tank top with greenish pants, and her hair is pulled up just a little bit on both sides.
She asks if a person by a certain name got their tetanus shot.
Now, that is a vaccine that is usually given to children and then updated every 10 years to prevent tetanus, which is also apparently known as lockjaw. I didn't know they were the same thing.
Nice.
It's a bacterial infection that causes muscle spasms that can be severe enough to cause bone fractures, and 10% of cases are fatal. So once again, PSA, vaccinate.
And also, it's one of those ones that you get if you, like, puncture yourself with a rusty nail.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it's not fun.
No, but having tetanus is much worse.
Yeah,
so
tetanus
definitely
shots
get the vaccine.
hurt like a bitch.
Also,
but it's still better than having tetanus.
There's multiple, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to go back for seconds.
Yeah.
And possibly thirds.
Yeah.
Anyway, Piper asks Paige why she's there, and Paige is like, I'm helping out, because I have no life, which her sister's parrot.
Yeah.
And then Ava's like, oh, she's been great. Paige says that, you know, some of the folk remedies are better than Western medicine, and I was actually just reading an article about this morning, about how, like, in particular, a cure for boils, which involves eggshell, egg white, and sulfur, is really good, because the eggshell abrades the skin so that the sulfur can get in there, and the egg white presents a barrier to the outside, like the air and bacteria and whatever.
Yeah.
And then a lot of folk remedies will say, oh, like, say, like, this number of this prayer, because that's a timing thing, and it's because in, you know, religious traditions, prayers are always said with the same cadence, especially in organized religion, especially in Catholicism. And so everyone knows how long it takes to say one of those.
Right.
And so if you use the timing from that, you can tell how long something is supposed to do something, or how long you're supposed to wait for something.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that's... It's a nice little time frame.
Folk remedies for, like, easy stuff are actually pretty good, and they worked, even if people didn't quite know how they worked, and they maybe made incorrect assumptions about what it was that made them work.
Yeah, like you know, Neosporin?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we had goopy stuff. Mm-hmm. It was a homemade Neosporin that comprised of, like, honey and a couple of other natural ingredients.
Yeah.
That was just kept in a little jar.
Yeah,
there's a label saying goopy stuff.
There was a thing for these things that, like, can grow on your eyelid that are extremely painful, where it's like you pound out a bunch of, like, onions and leeks, and you mix it with a thing, and then you stick it in a pot that has some copper in it, and leave it there for a while, and that'll effectively, like, add some copper salts to it. And which is a cytotoxic thing. So, like, it'll kill whatever's on there. Doesn't matter.
Interesting.
But, like, you know, if you look back through a lot of old medicine, you know, again, some of it's gonna be workable, even if, you know, it might be not from a point of knowledge. It's just from a point of, well, this worked.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of, like, folk remedies are a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, sometimes people hit upon the right solution, but they don't know that they have, and they're like, oh, well, you know, bathing in this strange concoction, like, cured my child, and, like, the solution was actually bathe.
Yeah.
It wasn't the concoction, it was you had to bathe.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of old folk remedies that when you take them into modern context, we go, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, they didn't know that.
By the same token, homeopathy is a load of crock. A lot of homeopathy.
A lot of it. Not all of it.
But, like, the whole, like, no, I've shown you that Mitchell and Webb skit, right?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
1 homeopathic beer, glass of water, 2 drops of beer.
Yeah. Yeah. Essential oils are not going to cure you. They're just not.
And never ingest essential oils. Yeah. Never.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
Anyway. Piper asks if there's anything that can be done to help with her nausea. Phoebe says it's funny she should ask, and pushes Piper toward the door. Piper asks where they're going, and Paige is like, well, you don't want to be late for your appointment, to which I started to laugh, because she basically is, you know, in, like, first trimester, and pushed ahead of the woman who is very much near the ending of her pregnancy.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, we'll be real fast. Oh, but apparently not.
Nope. Piper questions her, and Phoebe says that Ava is her new doctor. So Piper, like, cackles disbelievingly, and Paige says Ava's going to teach her and Phoebe how to be Piper's midwives.
Now, a midwife is a health professional who cares for the mothers and newborns around childbirth, and the practice is called midwifery. In the USA, laws can vary from state to state as to who can practice midwifery, but there are different rules all over the planet. So, yeah.
Yeah. Piper says she's not having her baby naturally, meaning without drugs, and Phoebe makes a stereotypical breathing noise. So Piper does the... Yeah, that one. So Piper does the very cute thing where she, like, grabs Phoebe's face and just completely, like, covers her face, and she's like, I need lots and lots of Western medicine.
Paige and Ava laugh. Piper says no offense to Ava.
Forgetting that Ava is a Western medicine person.
Yeah. Ava reminds her that she trusted Piper to carry on her heritage so she can be trusted to carry on Piper's.
And then Ava takes Piper to the door. Piper points at her sisters and nervously laughs. They point and smile back at her. And then Piper and Ava go inside with Ava closing the door behind them.
And there is a cross with the evil eye symbol painted on the door in red.
And we go to end credits.
End credits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For being what it was a good episode in that it furthered the pregnancy storyline.
But something tells me we're not going to see Ava again.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember. But also...
Yeah.
Like, I remember the episode... Or I remember the bit where the baby is born. But, like, I don't remember ever seeing Ava again. So... Nope. Really, you could just skip this one.
Yes.
You could super just skip this one.
Like, legit, if the only thing you take out of this entire episode is this final scene, I'm good with that.
Yeah, kind of.
Because it's, like, I've seen gift sets of it. And I was
especially the hands on face.
Yes, the hands on the face is by far one of my favorite little moments.
It's a good one.
It's great. So, with end credits, episode done, we are on to ratings. Do you have a clue what you would like to give this one?
I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10 wacky wire workings.
Nice. I'm going for a 7 out of 10 witchy midwifery. I just like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's an episode that wasn't completely horrible, but it could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And it basically got extra because I knew the three out of the 5 guest characters. I was like, oh, I know them from other things.
Yeah. So,
you know, it got a little higher for me.
Yeah. I didn't really have a favorite outfit just because, like, they were all pretty good.
Yeah. As for favorite outfits for me, I loved Piper's final outfit. I just love that shirt on her. Super duper cute.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe with the sleeveless white shirt and the gray pinstripe pants.
I will say, I think I had a least favorite outfit just because, like, they were all pretty good. I can't really pick out any one from the sisters. Except Paige's tracksuit.
I mean,
not that I hate it. It was just my least favorite.
Yeah, for Paige, I liked the tube top and jeans that she was in for like a minute.
I did like that shirt that was either a flower or some balloons.
Yeah,
that was cute.
Yeah,
I like the little ruffle at the sleeves.
Yeah, the little poof sleeve.
Yeah, the little poof.
Yeah, I don't know, it was just it was an interesting episode for outfits because they had a lot of them. In this one.
Yes.
They had a bunch of outfit changes.
They really did.
Yeah. So, with the episode done, outfits, ratings, all of that.
It's time for social media stuff.
Social media.
As always, you can email us any questions, comments, or queries to charmedchats@gmail.com. And you can find all of the links to whatever we tangented about on today's episode at charmedchats.com.
Which is where you can also find all of the links to our Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, Redbubble, and Patreon pages. Now, if you would like to join our Discord, where some fun is always a brewin', all you have to do is email us the phrase, "We're the power of 2 plus blue," and we will send you out an invite link. So we thank you for listening, and until next time,
sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
Bye.
Bye.
Piper, Phoebe, and Paige, kicking evil's ass weekly in this war they wage. So we'll see where it's at next time with Kendra and Kat on Charm.
phlebotomist.